Good afternoon, architects, and welcome to the UAP Cebu Chapter 46th Anniversary. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today, despite all the challenges we've been experiencing recently. We hope you're all well and healthy. Without further ado, let us start our program with our opening prayer. We begin this prayer by putting ourselves in the presence of our Lord.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Heavenly Father, the fount of all goodness and grace, the cause of wisdom, the source of intelligence, we welcome you, O Lord, to this meaningful gathering of your beloved, who continuously give you thanks for every opportunity to learn something new and become fruitful to the works of your creation. We humbly come to you, not because we are worthy, but because we find ourselves in need of you, who is our strength and our hope, to continue despite the challenges we face in health, prosperity, and our solidarity with one another. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
I shall work with this general objective that I am accountable to God, to Mother Earth, to my country, to my fellow men, and to myself. I shall uphold the ideals and follow the norms and ethical conduct of this noble profession. I shall pursue moral and professional excellence to the utmost level of integrity, through industrious dedication and meaningful application to my work that merits a reputation for quality of services worthy of fair remuneration. I shall pledge myself to the highest standard of professionalism in relation to clients, colleagues, industry partners, and society. I shall dedicate myself to the pursuit of creative endeavor towards the goal of enlightened art and science, generously sharing it. I shall respect the rights and works of my colleagues in the profession and confine my comments to constructive intents. I shall endeavor to do my duty in the protection of our common environment and the preservation of architectural heritage for the sake of the present and future generations. So help me God.
Now let us welcome our Vice President for Programs, Architect Kenzo Canizares, for the opening remarks.
Good afternoon, United Architects of the Philippines Cebu Chapter. Good afternoon, President Robert Malayaw, past presidents, officers, and fellow architects. Today, we are happy to celebrate our 46th anniversary, having a track record of more than 4 decades of legacy professional excellence we are proud of. Today, we will be presenting to you our progress of our chapter, our activities, our corporate social responsibilities, and our camaraderie. With no further ado, let us begin.
Let us give a warm welcome to our UAP National President, Architect Don De Guzman.
To all the members of the National Board of Directors, the National Executive Vice President, Architect Richard Garcia, AUC Vice President, Architect Jose Glenn de Guzman, Secretary General Dr. Jonathan Manalan, National Treasurer Architect Jason Ang, National Auditor Architect Albert Tublao, COF Chancellor Architect Michael Ang, the Regional District Director Architect Buck Richton Sia, to UAP Cebu Charter Officers and Members, past chapter presidents, starting with Architect Benjamin Abiar, Architect Severiliano Mapeso, Architect Ramon Escario, Architect Ignacio Salgado, Architect Jose Mari Canizares, Architect Marilu Rodis, Architect Melba Haba, Architect Rito Espinueva, Architect Luis Flores, Architect Maria Teresa Javier, Architect Jose Pace, Architect Benjamin Alino, Architect Roberto Rafanan, Architect Ann Javellana, Architect Bernadette Vallejos, Architect Maria Daisy Ma, Architect Benjamin Avila, Architect Fe Aurora Achas, again, my good friend Architect Benjamin Alino, Architect Luis Flores, Architect Ronnie Ganzon, Architect Edmund Samson, Architect Maria Lourdes Onozawa, Architect Margaret Rosario, Architect Regil Senabre, Architect Marcia Presas, Architect Kim Carmel Mojares, of course, Architect Maria Sara Badia, Architect Emmanuel Quizon, Architect Antonio De Catoria, Architect Francis Erico Rodriguez, Architect Archimedes Oracion, Architect Anne-Marie Quizon, Architect Banji Cheryl Ulila, Architect Neil Crisostomo, Architect Armond Claro, Architect Kerlan Achas Unchuan, Architect Jehan D, who is also a member of UAP Coms, Architect Nico Angelo Degit, and of course, Architect Robert Malayaw. The Council of UAP Cebu Chapter Advisors, of course, our idol, Architect Jose Marie Canizares, FUAP, Architect Benjamin Avila, FUAP, Architect Melva Rodriguez Hava, FUAP, Architect Fe Aurora Achas, FUAP, and Architect Margaret Rosario, FUAP. Our immediate past chapter board officers. The present chapter board officers, headed by Servant Leader and Chapter President, Architect Robert Malayaw, Vice President for Programs, Architect Reynaldo Dante Jr., Vice President for Operations, Architect Kenzo John Canizares, Secretary, Architect Ana Carmela Po, Treasurer, Architect April Agustin, Auditor, Architect Pedro Rubia III, and Directors, Architect Aris Behik Villarba, Architect Floritz Dine Carcasona Carabio, Architect Marie Lemosnero, Architect James Erwin Tan, and Architect Grant Slevin Uy. The chapter new members and our colleagues celebrating their birthdays for the month of January 2022, happy birthday. Friends and supportive partners in the industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day to everyone. Happy 46th year chapter anniversary to everyone. I am very much delighted for having me here, virtually of course, in this meaningful gathering of life of your chapter 46 years back. On behalf of the National Board of Directors, I send you our heartfelt congratulations for yet another milestone that you have achieved as the first chartered chapter of the organization in Cebu. Our Cebuano Architects has been one of the pillars of the organization for the consistent tradition of excellence and proactivity. I would like to commend the past leaders of the chapter for keeping professional excellence a standard year after year. In this case, exactly 46 years now. You have been the organization's manifestation of unity, growth, and progress over the years toward empowering and supporting our members, especially in these trying times. Yes, this pandemic has indeed crippled our country for more than 2 years already. Activities were halted, projects were deferred, and a lot of lives are affected. That being united has kept us afloat. Despite the challenges, and our Cebuano architects continue to exemplify servant leadership despite the profession is struggling to make ends meet. Your chapter board and members, led by Chapter President Robert Malayaw, can be proudly called servant leaders. I witness your selfless programs and projects even we are fully working virtually. As one of the members of our community, not only in this time of pandemic crisis, but more so in the recent calamity that Visayas and Mindanao areas were affected by the devastating Super Typhoon Odette. This simply shows a good foundation. 40 years of Class A mixture that will go way longer from now. I would like to commend your Regional District Director also for his hands-on leadership to help out those in need. I would like to simply take this opportunity that chapters such as yours have proven that service is a priority. For as we speak, selected past leaders still in the selfless service for the organization, the old saying goes, experience is the best teacher. So 40 years has put the chapter as the advisor for good and bad experiences and mentor for best practices and strategies. And as you celebrate this another milestone, may I express once again my highest appreciation to all of you for being at the forefront of the organization's ultimate mission and for the active role you have played in handling the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, both in your personal life and professional discipline. Your national leadership congratulates you on reaching this milestone and looking forward to the many years of accomplishments together. May the chapter continue to be a light for the future generation of leaders, specifically the young architects. More power and always keep safe. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang UAP Cebu chapter. Mag-iingat po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Architect Don. Now let us welcome our UAP Fellows Chancellor, Architect Michael Ang.
A pleasant day to everyone. In behalf of the United Architects of the Philippines College of Fellows, it is my extreme honor to greet each and every one of you at UAP Cebu chapter, led by your very energetic chapter president, Architect Robert Poe. A happy anniversary. We all know that these past 2 years have been very difficult for all of us, especially to all chapters in Area C who are hard hit by Typhoon Odette. But like the phoenix which rises from the ashes, I know with your great leadership and the support of your past leaders, you will able to hurdle all the obstacles that will come your way and create milestones after milestones. Mabuhay ang UAP Cebu chapter, mabuhay ang arkitekturang Pilipino.
Thank you so much, Architect Ang. Now we will present to you the UAP Cebu Chapter CSR.
We are the Design Divas!
Surprise visit.
So, muni ang layout ni Shady Lagwaan. So, magsugod na mo sukod.
Ka ng mga load bearing mo, careful na to, tanaw if kana di na tapidi mo kanog mga load bearing kay basig siya gisuportaan. So kani di man kayo siya kang load bearing kay na naman tay mga truss ka support sa roof kani pod wala siya gisuportaan. So pwede rin mo siya. Wala tanaw.
Kay finally na human agyo, and as you can see super nice kaya ang kusina, and then wala jud ko ga-expect nga mabunutan ko, and then I'm so happy good kay wala ko nagdahom nga ang among kusina inani na kanindot.
Anyway, this time, doon na tayo company sa mga, so today, ambungan, gwapo, mga mga buutan, nga mga architect! Okay. Lock na di guys. Hi! Baligya na. Ma-convert niya. Wala na mo siya.
Kuan na ba? Tanang
Yes.
So, kuan na lang siya. Ayun taog ka na. Mga kana.
Ayo! Hi! Musukod mi sa inyong balay. Musulod sa Sir, dayon sir. Mga gwapo, mga architect, dara.
Good morning.
Hello. Dayon, nakanig yung kasamang balay. Guba. Basta buwan ko itong
Kasi ganyan mo na lang.
Nabala ka lang na ang mga architect makabang na to. Dili magbaluoy daw oy, dili.
Atong tabangan la og unsa mo hinahimo na to la.
Ha? About the situation.
Nang shows din ko man siya. Ito ba? Atong roof ra siguro diha ra kutob kay parang kasud ang init ba.
Pwede man ang close.
Pila ka adult, pila ka kamundo ka siya napay manghod.
Og mamang papa ninyo.
Mama, papa,
Mama,
Lola.
papa.
O nga, Paris niya.
Ito walo.
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 Hello.
Kaya duha ka bata. Napo mo kabuk dire. Sa shifting to.
Wala din kain.
Oh, ikaw na po.
Sige. Napay kamay direct. Space for Nami sa AIS nga showroom and slash kanang office.
Yeah, okay.
Sa mainland of today's feature, Architect Baxia.
Ako ganito. Mga akong plano.
So, magkita-kita ta sa sunod na to nga video. Yes, video. Okay. Again, ako si Mami Sha and ako si Ping and kami ang Design
Now let us welcome our ever-energetic chapter president, architect Robert Malayo, to present to you Project Dasig.
Many of us has experienced the strength and devastation of Super Typhoon Odette when it hit Cebu Island in December 16, 2021. In its wake, our chapter has launched Project Dasig, Never Give Up, as our effort in rallying our members and the people of Cebu to stand up beyond the devastation and the problems caused by that particular typhoon. In this particular situation, we did not forget that in this particular situation, we did not forget certain mechanisms that we need to conduct in order for our chapter to remain an organization. So we We've made emergency board resolutions in order for us to be able to mobilize our resources in helping our members and non-members alike. So the emergency board resolution, since there's no precedence in its conduction, was made after Typhoon Odette. It was done through Facebook or through Messenger. It was done through Facebook Messenger or SMS, and it was presented to the Council of Presidents of the chapter. So with regard to the Facebook Messenger or SMS, it was first sent to the council, to the board of directors for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 to be approved. Afterwards, it is presented to the Council of Presidents in case they have comments or they have suggestions related to the board resolution. This was done since it is very hard to gather the members. And secondly, it's an emergency situation and many of us did not have, could not make it. Either we do not have electricity, water, or any means of communicating with each other. So these board resolutions usually takes 1 or 2 days in order for them to be approved. But still, we practiced a 50% plus 1 in terms of the approval of the board resolution by the board of directors. So the first board resolution that was approved during this emergency situation was the Board Resolution 28 series of 2021 for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 on the realignment of the Chapter Welfare Fund. So based on this board resolution, 50% of it will be used as originally defined by Board Resolution 13 2021, which established the Chapter Welfare Fund. 25% of it will be for procurement of water and other relief supplies for UAP Cebu chapter members, and the rest, or the next 25%, is for the non-UAP Cebu chapter members. So from the Board Resolution 13, the Chapter Welfare Fund allotted the amount of 75,127 and 50 cents. And if we incorporate already the breakdown for the Board Resolution 28, 37 of it, or 50% of the 75, which is 37,563.75, will remain to be used for COVID-related funds of our members. 25%, or 18,781, will be used for the chapter members' relief operation. And then the rest, or the next 25%, is allotted for the non-members of UAP Cebu chapter. The next board resolution approved is Board Resolution 29, series of 2021 for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 on the use of the CBS, or the China Bank Savings Chapter account to receive monetary donations for relief operations of UAP Cebu chapter for Cebu and Cebu South. So after that resolution was approved, we launched this call for donations poster for international and local donors through Facebook. Unfortunately, we received pledges but has not materialized. But these pledges has not materialized yet. So as of the moment, these call for donations, although the mechanism is already there, we did not receive any pledges, any money yet, aside from the pledges that was mentioned previously. So the chapter would not wish to move without these pledges materializing. Therefore, as of the moment, we are not conducting any activities that is related to that will depend on the amount that will be received from these donations. Next board resolution is Board Resolution 30, series of 2021 for fiscal year 2021-2022 on the increase of the monetary allotment to UAP Cebu chapter relief operations. This was particularly made because aside from the fact that we did not receive yet any monetary donations to help with our relief operations, this particular increase is needed for the the immediate needs of our members. So the provision of this particular resolution is the addition of 50,000 to the UAP Cebu chapter relief operations, and the source of funds will be the chapter sponsorships for events that was done by the chapter between July 2021 until December 2021. The breakdown of it is so this is a tentative audit that I did in December 22, 2021. This will still have to be properly audited by the internal auditor of our chapter, Architect Juni Rubia, as soon as his internet connection stabilizes. In fact, we have not done the external audit as of the moment because of similar problems by the internal auditor. So this is the income of the chapter in terms of sponsorships that we received from our events since July until December 2021. So for a total of 220,350. Out of the whole amount, we only received the amount of 145,350 pesos and a pledge of 75,000. Now we are still waiting to be received. So the explanation for that is that the last audit, the last final audit that the internal auditor was able to do for us was in October 2021. And because of the urgency of the situation, I had to conduct a tentative audit in order for us to be able to properly identify the amount that we need or that we can propose to increase the allotment for our to fund the relief operations of the chapter. So as of this, by November, we had a total expense of, for the activities in November rather, we had an expense of 50,000. That in December, that's 402.50 pesos, 402.50 for a total expense for the first half of the fiscal year. So that's the July until December. We have a total expense of around 76,000. Again, this is a tentative audit. With an IAPOA remittance total of 233,000. And this particular component is the expenses that is deducted from the sponsorships. Take note that in this particular component, the expenses here are those that is deducted from the chapter budget as identified by the previous board resolution, and any event or any activities that is not carried or that is not under the chapter budget should be taken from the sponsorships or the merchandise. So with regard to the sponsorships, the total expense of the CSR related expenses that we were able to do previously amounts to 21,226. So the total miscellaneous expenses, so everything here, is 23,321. This is the total sponsorships that we have already received. Again, we are not yet counting the amounts that is yet to be received by the chapter. So the sponsorships received is 145,350. If we deduct 145 from 23, so we get a disbursable amount of 122,028 pesos and 85 cents. So that's the basis of where we can get the money to increase the monetary allotment to fund the UAP Cebu chapter relief operations. So because of the amount that we were able to gather, to allot rather, based on the finances of the chapter for this fiscal year lang, let's take into consideration this disaster response. So the disaster response of the chapter is not just a wishy-washy response, but it is based on protocols established by international organizations. So disaster response has 4 stages. So you have stage 1, you have relief, stage 2, recovery, stage 3, prevention, and stage 4, preparation. So you may have noticed in the posters that we have been posting and sharing in Facebook that there is a stage 1, stage 2, and sometimes even if you are already seeing stage 2, at certain times you can see again stage 1. This is because in disaster response, there's no really specific timeline as to when stage 1 ends and stage 2 starts. There's just a rough idea of when they begin, but ideally they overlap with each other. For stage 1 relief, a few days after the typhoon hit our island, you have been receiving, or at least those members whose cell phone numbers are registered to our chapter, has been receiving information on areas where you can get water, you can have your devices charged, your vehicles fueled, and so on and so forth. It has also helped the increase in the information is also fueled by the members who sent their ideas or locations or information rather of where they know some places that are open. So I hope this particular response has helped your immediate needs the day or 2 days after the typhoon. Then in December 24th and 25th, we were able to release bottles of water for the members of UAP Cebu chapter. This was actually with the help of Architect Regina de los Santos and our member Architect Odike. The whole endeavor was also facilitated by Architect Carmela Po, and the bringing or getting of water. So actually the water that you received for some of you came from Iligan. It was transported through Architect Regina de los Santos, so a colleague who's living in there. The water from the port was taken with the assistance of Architect Luel Quizon and Architect Archie Oracion. And then it was brought to the place of Architect Odike, and it was distributed with the help of the officers and the members of the long-term plan committee. So, and then we also released a call for volunteers to assist DSWD in the repacking of relief goods for those who was devastated by Typhoon Odette. There are people on January 2 and then on January 9th, we have colleagues who heed the call and assisted in the relief operations. So on January 2, a day after the New Year, we have Architect Heaven Senador, Architect Mariel Bacatan, Architect Neil Crisostomo, Architect Amanda Gothong, Architect April Agustin, and Architect Jerisa Bagabaldo, along with their friends, to assist in the repacking of relief goods. In this particular case, they need us to provide the repacking of the rice. And then on January 9th, Architect Mariel Bacatan, Architect Earl Antojado, and Architect Heaven Senador, along with Architect Amanda Gothong and their friends, has once again assisted in the repacking of the relief goods organized by DSWD. Then December 30th, so going back again a little bit, December 30th, so we've distributed 4,200 bottles of water at 1 liter per bottle to the people of Sibonga and Argao. This was through the efforts this was in collaboration with Mr. Andre Chan and Janine Agramon. So they are friends. And then the distribution was done with the help of the 53rd Engineering Brigade, Architect Joshua Tabaswarez, Architect Nico Digit, Architect Reynaldo Dante Jr., and then Architect Genevieve Caminero also assisted in the distribution. And then this is still in USC, in Talamban campus rather. So UAP Cebu chapter has assisted as well the efforts of UAP District C1 and has partnered with the University of San Carlos in the provision of the reverse osmosis filter so that we can provide potable water to those who need them. So in this effort, we have contacted Father Loreto of JPIC, the SVD, the arm of the SVDs, as these particular organization are gathering water and they are distributing them to informal settlement areas in the communities that they have been going into. So, and then we also went to southeast and southwest of Cebu to conduct a rapid assessment survey to the heritage churches that had been damaged by Super Typhoon Odette in these particular locations. So actually, we went there on January 9th, January 8th, and then January 15th. January 8th for southeast, and then January 15th for southwest of Cebu. And then these assessments will be evaluated. So this particular endeavor was in collaboration with USC Cherish and the ACCHC or the Archdiocesan of Cebu Cultural Archdiocesan Council for the Cultural Heritage of the Church in Cebu. So again, this is a rapid assessment. So we just conducted drone pictures or videos and then pictures of the damages of the typhoon. So that assessment need to be recorded and reported. So we are opening the call for participation for those who have experience with heritage conservation or heritage assessment, either through academic training, so as a student, undergraduate or graduate, or through experience. So if you have these particular qualifications, kindly respond or register through this link that you are seeing at the bottom, and then register so that we can contact you on the details of the assessment that we need to do to record and report the damages that was observed in these heritage churches. And then stage 2, still on recovery component, we have conducted a house damage survey. These particular house damage, I forgot to mention that the assessment was made possible through the volunteerism of our members, Architect Kix Nierves, Architect Neil Crisostomo, Architect Figes was also supposed to join us, but apparently he did not felt very good at that time. So he just did not go through with the RAS, and most especially through Architect Banji Ulila of Cherish, who is also our member, and Architect Melva Hava, FUAP, who is also our member and elder of the chapter. So with regard to the house damage survey, we tried to identify the needs of our members who has really has been ravaged by the typhoon. From that survey, we were able to gather, or 18 of the members responded, and 2 of them have identified that they badly need the assistance of the chapter in order for them to rebuild. Therefore, we are once again calling the members to, if you wish to help us with assessment in order for us to properly identify what the chapter can help with the members who mentioned that they really need help, then kindly respond and answer the call for participation to help us with the assessment of these structures. Again, it's the same link as the one for Cherish earlier. There are just both buttons that you need to press in order for you to be able to be directed to the proper registration format. And then for the stage 3 of the prevention, or the stage 3 of disaster response, which is on prevention, we had been invited to conduct information dissemination seminar to people who are living in the mountain areas most especially. So the whole premise of the activity or the invitation is for us to use our expertise as professionals, built environment professionals, on informing these ordinary people on how they can build back better to ensure that their houses will not be damaged by the next typhoon. So, in relation to that, we are looking for volunteers who can either give a talk, who are experts in the field, or assist in whatever manner that you can do to help disseminate the information. So, once again, please go to this call for participation component button, link rather at the bottom, and then please just answer the proper information that will be asked from you. So once again, these are the efforts that we had been doing in relation to Project Dasig, and in response to the devastation caused by the super typhoon, who has upended many of our lives, and the things that we have been doing lately. Again, this is a tentative liquidation. The treasurer is yet to conduct a very detailed and the liquidation of the expenses that we were able to do, the expenses that's been happening because of the efforts of the chapter. So again, this is still as of December 30, 2021. The one on top are the monetary allotment, or the budget, but monetary allotment of because of the board resolutions that we were able to pass. So that's board resolution 28 and 30. For members, we have allotted 58,000, and for non-members, we have allotted 28,000. Based on the expenses, we have a remaining relief budget of 21,855 for the members and 9,336 for the non-members. So that ends the presentation on the Project Dasig and the relief Super Typhoon Odette UAP Cebu chapter relief operations that we had been doing for the past 1.5 months. In the next few months, expect for more call for volunteerism or participation. And thank you very much once again to the members of our chapter who have extended their assistance, their time, and their expertise in the relief efforts of the chapter. So everybody has suffered so much from this typhoon, and giving your time despite the challenges that is also happening in your own home is really something, is an admirable trait really. So thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you, Architect Robert. Let us hear again from our chapter president for the presentation of the new board of directors for 2022-2023.
Okay, so I will now present to you the list or the new officers of UAP Cebu chapter for the fiscal year 2022-2023. But before the presentation of the chapter officers, allow me to give you a little recap on the board resolution that has enabled the election and the election of these chapter officers. So the election occurred between November 18, 2021 to December 18, 2021 as was specified in the board resolution 15 that allowed that identified the procedures for the chapter online election for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. So these are the provisions of that board resolution, of which it has been approved for conduction during our November GMM, if I'm not mistaken. So these are the regulations, and then I will just talk about each of them individually as we proceed. So for the provision 7, so these are the guidelines on how the core officers will be elected. So the top 6 votes will be the people who will occupy the core officer's position of the chapter, and of course they will have to be asked if they will accept the position. If they decline, then the next person will have to go up. So, for example, in this example at the bottom, the person B declined. Person A declined. So, person B is now the chapter president. Okay, so it will continue until all the positions are filled. So it's the same procedure with the directors, with the chapter directors position. The only thing that's important to remember here is that the directors do not have a hierarchy of even if you have the highest vote, your position is not higher than the second one, because all of the chapter directors occupy the same level of officer as an officer. The repelling clause identifies that this procedure or the procedures being practiced for the chapter online election for fiscal year 2022 to 2023 will, there's a possibility that it will have to be revised because Board Resolution 15 will be repelled after the end of this fiscal year, 2021-2022. So the end of this fiscal year is on July 1, 2022. So by then, Board Resolution 15 will be repelled unless it will be extended by another resolution. But that extension could mean that there's there will be changes in the procedures and guidelines. So on provision 5 on the eligibility to vote, so a little background on the voter turnout. So our chapter currently has 765 members. However, these numbers does not count those people or those members who passed away already, as we are still in the process of updating the data. Out of that, let's say 765 members or registered members of our chapter, 297 are active members or those members who have paid their ayapoa, regardless if that payment was an on-time payment or a late payment. So out of the 297, 87, we have received 87 votes. So that's, if we compare that against the active members, so the voter turnout is only at 29.3%, quite a low number. Nonetheless, out of the 87 votes, we also had to remove 7 votes because they did not pay their ayapoa, and 4 votes because of duplicacy in their votes. So as specified in provision 6 of the voting procedure of Board Resolution 15, duplicate responses from a person will invalidate the whole vote of that particular member. So out of the 87, there are only 76 valid votes canvassed and assessed by the COMELEC in assistance with the Long-Term Plan Committee. So provision 3 on who are eligible for core officer position. So these are the names of all of the officers of the chapter since 2013. So that's 10 years. 2013. The names in bold are those names who are no longer the name of Architect Tabas Suarez should not be bold. But the other names here are those names who cannot be nominated for the chapter, for any chapter positions already, because they had served as the chapter president of our chapter for the past years. The names crashed out are those members who had transferred to another chapter, so they can also not be nominated anymore. We did not receive the names of the officers for the fiscal year for 2014 to 2015. Nonetheless, we continued with the election process. The next provision or the next content of provision 3 is the chapter president must at least be a previous core officer. Therefore, the names highlighted are those names that qualifies for nomination for chapter president of our chapter. So, moving forward, these are the list, or these are the names or the result of the core officers position or the election of the board of directors for the core officers position of our chapter. So as specified in the board resolution, each names or each person must be each nominee must be asked if they will accept the position they are nominated, and if they decline, then the next position goes up. Because these things happen after a death, then we just schedule a hybrid meeting with these members, and they had been contacted. The top six had been contacted. If we did not receive any response from them, then we just identify that did not respond. Or if they responded but they sent that they said that they declined, then we also moved up. So these are the top six names, and as previously mentioned, Architect Yap did not respond to our message, our call for a meeting, and so we had to move up and include Architect Lastimoso in the list of officers. So in the meeting conducted last January 10, 2022, attended by the Council of Presidents, Nico Angelo Digit, Neil Crisostomo, Vanji Ulila, Archie Oracion, Jehan D, and Sarah Abadia. We have identified, and they had been asked if they will accept the positions. So these are the list of chapter officers for fiscal year, the core officers for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. So for the chapter president position, so that's Architect Joshua Tabasores. The VP operation is Architect Ana Carmel Lapo. The VP programs is Architect April Agustin. The chapter secretary is Architect Kenzo John Cañizares. Chapter auditor is Architect Pedro Rubia III. And the chapter treasurer is Architect Carmel Lastimoso. So for the next component, the chapter director's position, so as identified by the provision 4, we have identified 245 nominees based on those members who have attended our GMM since July until October 2021. This includes new chapter members as long as they have already submitted their chapter membership form to our chapter treasurer. The name Crash Out, this name was included, but unfortunately, she is not a member of our chapter. I think I have mistaken her for our another member with the same family name. So all in all, we have 245 nominees for the chapter director positions, and this is the result of that particular election. We no longer included we did not include anymore the names, those people who received less than 4 votes. So that's 3-2-1. Kay daghan na kayo. But anyway, we only need, actually from the board resolution, we only need 4. However, since the long-term plan committee has already advised us that they would be implementing 6 chapter directors with specific tasks and specific fields, then we have identified 6 positions for the chapter directors, regardless if the board resolution or only identified 4 names. So this is the result of that particular election. And then for the 6 names, these are the names on the top 6. Architect Tabaswaras is no longer part of the list because he accepted the position as the chapter president, and Architect Yap still declined. So we had to move up and include Architect Sig and Aris. But Architect Behik declined as well, so we need to include the next set of officers, the next set of names rather. From these names, so from these names, Architect Agustin is no longer part because she is the VP program. Alob did not respond to our call. Angkog declined. And Architect Cañizares, Kenzo is the chapter secretary, so he's already out. Take note that the name Architect Kalo Stephanie has been changed to Amarga Zian. They are actually, Architect Zian is somewhere here in number 5 if you zoom out this list. But since Architect from the next set, Architect Kalo was no longer contacted because Architect Amarga has accepted the position since anyway they are in tie. This is in accordance with the UAP Cebu Comelec na decision na due to the pandemic and the typhoon, instead of calling all the members who tied in the position of the chapter director in one meeting, the nominees will be asked individually. The sequence of who will be called first will be according to the preference of the incoming chapter president. If a nominee accepts the position, the rest of the nominees will no longer be asked. So from those lists, Architect Chan, and Architect Kalo is no longer asked since Architect Amarga has already accepted the position. So this was the meeting, the hybrid meeting attended by Architect Braulio Ikong, one of the nominees, for them to officially ask if they will accept the position. This was attended by the Council of President, Architect Nico Digit, Neil Crisostomo, Banji Cheryl Ulila, and Jehan D. And these are the list of the chapter officers for the position of chapter director who accepted that particular position. So Architect Benson Go, John Mark Menasalvas, Jersey May Tagboy, Braulio Ikong III, Sig Abadilla, and Zian Amarga. So officially, these are your list, or these are your fiscal year 2022 to 2023 board of directors. Their position, their term would start at the immediately after the end of this fiscal year. So that's on June 30, 2022. So chapter president, Architect Joshua Tabas Juarez, VP Operations, Architect Ana Carmela Po, VP Programs, Architect April Agustin, Chapter Secretary, Architect Kenzo John Canizares, Chapter Treasurer, Architect Carmel Lastimoso, Chapter Auditor, Architect Pedro Rubia III, and our Chapter Directors, Architect Benson Heinrich Go, John Mark Menasalvas, Jersey May Tagboy, Braulio Ikong III, Sig Abadilla, and Zia Nika Amar.
Congratulations to the new UAP Cebu Chapter Board of Directors for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Sadly, our program has come to an end. May we call on again our chapter president, Architect Robert Malayo, to give his closing remarks.
The past year has been extra challenging. Just when we thought that our situation is getting better, things suddenly take a turn for the worse. Many of us has not even had the chance to breathe. After the typhoon, we had been working constantly already. We may be at our lowest, rock bottom as they say. But being at that part has its advantages, since there is no other way but to go up. For 46 years since the chapter was chartered, and 47 years since it was organized, our chapter has remained strong and steadfast despite the challenges that came across it. As we created the Long-Term Plan Committee, may the chapter reach new heights for the betterment not only of our profession, but also of our own selves. Our 50 years is just a stone's throw away. As architects, we are planners, and that includes our innate ability to be forward thinkers. This was the premise of the formation of the Golden Anniversary Committee. We have postponed its launching to a later date to properly highlight the event. However, of all the UAP chapters in the Philippines, we will be the first one to celebrate it. So we will be the benchmark. As always, and as a challenge to the committee, let's make that benchmark high. The celebration of our chapter anniversary this year was unprecedented, and its conduction was apt to the situation that we are in. An asynchronous event is nothing new. Children in school had been doing it for their lessons for the past 2 years. On our end, as our internet connections are poor and many still have limited electricity, this kind of event is the only opportunity for the members to be able to attend such an event. And as we end this simple celebration of our chapter anniversary, may this new year bring new joys and renewed hopes to all of us. May you find meaning in the activities of the chapter and whatever it is that you intend on accomplishing. Thank you very much for your continued support and participation to the events and activities of our chapter, and we are looking forward to your more participation to our events.
This concludes our UAP Cebu Chapter 46th Anniversary Program. Thank you so much for your virtual presence. Stay safe and stay healthy, architects. Dasig, UAP Cebu Chapter.